What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already seen last week's video, you would have seen that we had a fault with injector number 1 and some other stuff. Throughout the week I've been testing the wiring for the car and we're not getting 12 volts at the injector plug. So what I'll do now is I'll show you what we've done during the week, and there's some pictures on my Instagram what we've done as well already. I'll put a link on the screen now. I'll go through with you what we need to do and how far we are already. So right, as you can see, the engine bay and the engine itself looks an absolute mess. What we've done is we've taken off the intake manifold. A few reasons why. We need to replace some of the intake hoses and the CCV system. We have the CCV kit here. It's just a generic one, it's not an actual BMW one, but it's gonna help us fix some issues and vacuum leaks on the car, hopefully. And then when we get the intake boot in, it'll fix some of the error codes that we got in the MAF sensor. I can't remember what the code was. We had a low input, and I think this is the reason why. Obviously, if it's just idling, instead of coming straight through the MAF, it's just going to suck through this point here. So we'll order one of these and the upper one with the new like F connector on it. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for those to arrive and before we put the intake manifold back on, we're going to try and find out why injector 1 is only getting around 4 volts. We'll be using the multimeter testing for 12 volts with the battery and the ignition on. So yeah, hopefully we can find that issue today. I did have some oil on a ECU connector as well, but what we'll do is we'll stick it on a time lapse. I'm going to probe all the connectors, take off this cover here, because you can take these clips off and you can see what's going on inside there. If it's not there, it's going to be down here where the wires go through the firewall. But yeah, hopefully we can find the problem. We can start with the CCV kit. Right guys, after what was like a 30-second time lapse, which is what was like nearly an hour's work, we have got the fuel injector plug. There's a wire that goes here, the live one, which we're struggling with to get 12 volts. We've traced it through the firewall to this one here. We've checked it through the firewall for when obviously I put all the plugs through. I've made sure I haven't kinked it or like broke the insulation on the wire. So the insulation is fine on the wire. What we're going to do now is we're going to trace it through this pipe, like the plastic ducting. What we're going to do, we're going to open up the main cover for the module for like the actual loom itself, and then we'll trace it back up through this wire here. Hopefully we can find the problem today, and then we can start on the crank breather kit. Right guys, we found the problem. Well, we think we have. What we did was we took all the connectors off, like the sensors, the whole car loop, the control unit here where all the wires meet and then they split their own ways. We took the cover off that. Me and my brother was helping me. We took that off. We checked all the wires. We cleaned it with some pure alcohol spray. It's like IPA. So what we found was, guys, in the end of most of the connectors was a lot of like oil and looks like a build-up of dirt as well. So what we've done is we've cleaned all the connectors. We also had a background on the starter motor, which we fixed with a new cable eye, and we've crimped that on and insulated it. We did check for any like breaks in the insulation of the wire going through the firewall, because obviously I was putting the connectors and the wires through. I could have caught one on the firewall or whatever. We checked that, that's all fine. So what we did was we've got the battery connected. We've got the keys in the ignition, turn 2 clicks. We've got a multimeter here. Set it to 20 volts because obviously the next one down is 2 volts. We want to see 12, so you go to the next one up. We're going to probe each connector. So that's the positive, that's 12 volts. This is the first connector, by the way, guys. So this is the one we was having the issue with. So again, probe the ground, probe the connector on the positive side. So that's 12 volts there. It's kind of hard to see. What we'll do is we'll move the injector out here. So wires on the ground, in we go for positive. As you can see, that's 12 volts. We'll check all the others. 12 volts there for injector 2, 12 volts there for injector 3, 4, 5 and 6. It's a little bit low on the 12 volts. The battery's like dying, it's on its way out because I've been using it quite a lot to test. So yeah, the wiring is now sorted finally after like many long nights of trying to sort this and this absolute mess. We can finally put it back together, and hopefully when we turn the key again we'll have some error codes cleared. What we'll do now is we'll move on to the CCV system and we'll start putting a new kit in. So what we're going to do is, while the intake manifold's off, we're going to replace the crankcase breather system, also known as a CCV. It's probably a lot easier to do it while it's off the car. It's not really a how-to, it's just going to be me changing it. They do tend to get clogged up as well, so it's just good practice to change it. It can cause all kinds of issues with like the M54s. What we'll do is we'll just strip it down, probably have to take the throttle body off so we can get to access to the full like system, and then we'll just put in the new stuff. Right guys, when you've got the intake manifold off, you want to take off the idle control valve, which is 2 T40s. You also want to take off the throttle body, which is 4 10mm. And then once you've got all that off and the intake off the car, there's 2 Torxes here to take off the crank breather valve. Just one here and one here. They'll both be T25s, so we'll just take those off now. When you've taken those 2 Torxes off that side, you want to flip the intake manifold over. We've got a rail up here, and you're going to have to take this off to get access to some more clips. There's 3 bolts. There's one here, here, and here. Again, I think they're T25s, so we'll go ahead and we'll take those off. Right guys, I've got that off. I did forget about 1 bolt here. So there's 4 on this top row here. There's 2 in the middle here, and then 1 each side here. Now this is off, we can get access to all these clips and take them off. Finally got that off. That was absolutely disgusting to get off, guys. What I suggest doing as well, if you are thinking about doing this, replace all these O-rings. I'll be doing that for the next video, but to keep this safe, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay that back in there. I'm not going to press it in, I'm not going to reuse those O-rings, but it's just to keep them safe. Right guys, we've got all the old stuff off. And it's really bad. I'm actually disappointed with myself that I didn't replace this sooner. So what we're going to do now, we're going to throw a brand new nice kit on there, and it's going to look so much better, and then we can clean the rest of the intake manifold. Next video we can put it all back on, strike the car up, and hopefully no error codes. Right guys, that is it for this week's video. We've got the CCV system on the intake manifold, we've got the wiring sorted, we found the issue and we fixed it. All the plugs are reading 12 volts now, which is good. Next week we will be putting the intake manifold back on the engine. I'll post some pictures on my Instagram of what it looks like when it's cleaned with the new CCV system. We'll fill up with fuel again. Hopefully it starts and we have no error codes, we can clear them all, and then we can continue with the rest of the build. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.